Welcome back. You're listening to Matriarch Alchemy. Today, we're going to talk about the success timeline and the pressure of like the whole college, marriage, kids, career that young people feel, everyone feels, but mostly we're going to talk to Allie about that. Like, what external pressures cause internal turmoil?
I mean, I think the main thing right now would be like social media in the sense of like seeing, what everybody else is doing. So you're seeing the people you used to go to high school with who are getting married or already have kids, and you're like, oh my, like, should I already be starting that timeline? I haven't even finished college yet. But, I'm 25. Should I be married by now? Should I be thinking about having a kid? Like, that pressure of seeing others doing it, I think it puts, that little into the back of your head. Like, am I not going fast enough or am I too slow? But then you also have the other pressures of like family or friends of saying things to you, as in,
especially with marriage. Gosh, I feel like most girls are like,
I need to get married.
Everyone keeps asking me when I'm getting married.
Like, well, I have a lot of things to say on this, but but definitely like when you meet people, like let's say I go and meet my boyfriend's family and I've seen them a few times now. So their next questions are, oh, when are you guys getting married? Or, oh, are you guys thinking about having kids anytime soon? And we're both like, that was not at the forefront of our brains at all at this moment. We're establishing our life and where we are. But are we too slow?
Yeah. Well, the things that I've learned now is that there is no timeline. Like,
yeah,
everybody does everything at their own pace. And the thing that I think kids don't realize is I'm, almost 50 years old, but I know so many adults that are on their second or third career choice because they weren't happy in the first one. And it's okay to realize that you can pivot and you can change. And I know they get opportunity paralysis when you guys think, oh my gosh, I have all these things available to me, but if I hone in on one, I can never change ever again. And that's absolutely ridiculous, right? Like, you could change if you didn't like it, if you're unhappy. And it's not like you're starting over. It's just part of the process of life's a journey, and it's what builds you up into being a more interesting human being, and some people only learn the hard way. So I will say, like, your mistakes and your trauma and whatnot is what builds you up. It is what makes you who you are. And even though we all wish none of it ever happened to us and we had a perfect picket fence life, I have been through all the things. And I can tell you, it has made me more vastly intelligent and empathetic and strong. And I think Allie can admit that I'm very direct and I don't take any BS, because you learn to set boundaries the hard way sometimes by not setting them and seeing what happens. And it might mean you're allowing abuse, or a man will keep towing the line of what's you allow in a relationship. So you learn to be strong through all of that. You have to. And I mean, if you stay stuck, I mean, that's where I guess we got to talk about how do you not get stuck?
I think a lot of people, like you said, is they feel as if once you pick one thing, like that's it for you. So like as you start college, it's like, okay, now I got to figure out what major I want to do, but what do I want to do for the rest of my life? And then it opens up this whole can of worms where what if I pick the wrong thing? But yet you're not realizing that a degree is just a degree. You can always go back. I mean, I can't tell you how many people go back to college when they're after they have kids or expand their degree later on. But also, a degree can get you more places than without one for a lot of jobs. So I don't know. I think it's just something that so many other people have pushed is this pressure of finding out what you want to do. What do you want to be when you grow up? Constantly, that constant question of, oh, what are you going to do with that degree? It's like, oh, well, the world's my oyster. I can do anything I want. But no, I feel like people lose that.
Well, and there's so many careers out there that you don't have to have a 4-year degree, but you
Yeah.
also like it depends on your personality. So you have to know if you have an entrepreneurial spirit. You have to know what's your why? What gives you joy? Do you like working with people? Do you like making content? Do you like physically working with your hands? You have to figure out
What are you good at?
what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And then there's different kinds of degrees that make sense for different people and different careers. There's no wrong answer. And right now we just don't have enough people even going into the trades, and they're amazing jobs and still can make great money.
Yeah. And I mean, there is so much external pressure from
Hmm.
others, and that's what it really is this pressure from parents, especially older generations, of like, oh, you need to go to college, you have to have a degree.
Hmm.
But yet a lot of people are starting to say, like, why would I go to college when I don't know what I want to do, and I don't want to be in debt because they
Hmm.
don't have, people helping them with their tuition or housing or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I think finding that fits for you, but also I think it's smart to not rush into things. If
Hmm.
if you don't know that, what you want to do for a degree, why are you going to college if you're like
You don't know
whatever?
what you don't know, right? So, I mean, I always tell any kid that if you have no idea what you want to do, go take business classes, because you're going to help you no matter what you do, even
Yeah.
if you are having your own business, so you're an entrepreneur. Like, learn about business finance, learn about your taxes, learn about marketing, learn about internet marketing. You probably use it for anything.
Yeah. I mean, trade schools are great too if you know kind of what you want to do. Like I went to
Hmm.
EMT, and that's a almost a year of different classes I had to take for it.
Hmm.
But like you can go and start as an EMT, work in an ambulance, or you can go into a hospital, or you can go and work in a lab. Like a lot of those degrees still, or even like the trade school, can get you in so many new avenues
Hmm.
that I don't think it's just, oh, I'm going to school to be an EMT. I now have all of these other healthcare things that I can do on top of that instead of, you know, just having to do one thing. So,
Hmm.
but I don't think people are talking about that enough, is how many different opportunities you have from one area.
Hmm. Hmm. I definitely see kids going down a path sometimes where they just want to go to work, they're not ready to go to school, and then they feel worried that it's too late and they can't go back. But I know all sorts of 35, 40-year olds who are getting their masters and still getting degrees. I mean, that timeline is not real, definitely. But I've had like my 23-year-old son tell me, "Oh, well, it's too late for me to do that." I'm like, what? It's not even too late for me. I mean, it's not too late, and you can change your mind. You just got to learn what you need to learn for your particular craft. And so, I mean, whether or not you started learning about it when you were 16 or you started learning about it when you're 28, it's your process. It's what you're doing. So, I mean,
Also, learning how you learn if you want to go back to school. So, like normal 4 year college for a
mm-hmm,
bachelor's degree can be
mm-hmm,
kind of hard for some people when you're doing 5 classes at once and learning all of that information
mm-hmm,
within those, what is it, 5, 6 months that you're going to school.
mm-hmm,
But then, like, I've heard that there's other ways that you can also get your 4 year degree, but they do the classes really condensed into half of the one semester, so a quarter where you're only focusing on 2 classes.
mm-hmm.
And some, like my boyfriend, he really enjoyed that because he's like, I like only focusing on 2 things instead of trying to remember 5 classes worth of information. But
Yeah.
that's another thing, like I didn't even hear about until recently that that was a thing.
I definitely think analyzing what your own particular learning style is really helpful for yourself. Like, I'm not a verbal learner. Like, oh, it took me a long time to realize why I was struggling so much in my math classes in high school, because he was just telling me in chemistry. He was telling me. He wasn't showing
Showing.
me, or he wasn't reading it, and it just wasn't the way I processed. And it wasn't that there was anything wrong with me. It was just more like his
Not
style and what I was learning didn't work for me. So my grades my math classes in high school were really bad and brought me down from a 4.0 to a 3.5.
Oh wow. Oh boo hoo.
Because
Well, no,
it was bad.
I completely understand because I have a math teacher like right now who
Mm-hmm.
it's an online math calculus class, and he doesn't have any lectures of any sort. It's literally like 1,200 YouTube videos of examples.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not helping me at all. But then telling me to go read the textbook on how to do it is not helpful either. Like, I need you to show me how you do it instead of just giving me all these random videos.
Yeah. Hmm. I remember being in high school and having to ask my teachers questions that they couldn't answer. That was probably the best thing. The most fun is when you ask your biology teacher a biological question that they're like, I don't know. You realize, oh, I guess you know what he's talking
So, I guess a question that I have for you is like, I know this is a lot of like your generation or your parents' generation of asking those questions to young women of like, oh, so when are you guys thinking about getting married? Are you
Mm-hmm.
guys, oh, you're still
Mm-hmm.
going to school for your degree? Like all those external pressures that I feel like are being pushed by, you know, parents and grandparents. Because I'm not
Yeah.
hearing that from anyone my age, right? Like no one's asking me.
No one's asking you from your age
No,
when you're getting married.
no. It's more of like, oh, cool. Anyways, moving on. Like that's not a top priority, but I
Mm-hmm.
do feel like that's what we're talking about is the external pressures for the timeline, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you feel like is changed from when you were, say, my age, going through that timeline versus like now how you're seeing your friends or people
Yeah.
you know?
There was a lot more pressure in my particular world. So I grew up in kind of a religious environment where I was getting a lot of rules that my brothers were not getting because I was a girl. And so it's like being told, oh, you can't live with a boy before you get married, or you can't, you have to get married at church. You can't get married in the mountains and somewhere pretty. And, there was a lot more rules and pressure on me at that time. And I felt like I had no way out. And so I actually ended up getting married when I was 19 because I think I just wanted to get out of that home and feel like I had different opportunities. And so I had been going to community college and then went to a real estate college and got my real estate license back when I was probably one of the youngest brokers with Coldwell Banker back in 1996. Something like that. And I worked that off and on. It was a really great job for a while. I was having kids because it just really was the big thing to get married and have kids and stay home with them. Like with that was sort of the vibe of the people that I was around. And it's not that that's good or bad. I think you can be successful in any way you do it. But my particular choice was that I didn't want my kids to be in daycare. I wanted them raised by one of us. And at the
Mm.
time, my husband, who was 5 years older than me, had a better job than me and was making more income than me. So it was better for me to stay home. And frankly, I don't even know if he would have known how to take care of a kid or not. But how do you know?
But so do
Plus, I'm
you
a control
feel
freak.
did you feel like you had like pressures just from parents then to get married right out of high school and do all of that, or was it also like a friend thing, like everyone was doing it, peer pressure?
No, I was the first of all of my friends to get married for the most part. I know one girl who got married from my high school before me because she was going with a guy in the military, and that's the only way that they could go live together. And the only pressure I really had was from my mother, and it was like there was just a lot of rules for her about the way that I had to do things. But honestly, if I look back on it, there was no pressure from my friends, or it was like this older female generation that was selling that to my generation of 20-year-olds.
So it was
Like
like
the 40, 50-year-old women that were, well, you got to do this next. When are you getting married? don't you want to have kids? Like that's where it came from. It's the women. I never really had men be like, oh, you're getting married, or you gonna, you're gonna stay at home. Like, it really came from the women, and I think we need to talk about that.
I mean, I would agree even now, like the people who are saying those things to me is it is
Mm-hmm.
women. No man's
Mm-hmm.
like, when are you guys getting married? It's older grandmas and aunts or older sisters who are like, when are you getting married? When are you having? I want kids. Like it's everybody else wants it, not because what do you want?
Mm.
That's what's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I don't really understand why that generation was. Maybe it was just what they were taught. And their time was different. When so these are the women that are what 80 now. It's just it's a definite different mentality that they had, and I don't think that they could see over the wall. Like I don't think they were realizing what they were doing. I don't think that they were like wanting to stunt any woman or going to college and becoming a doctor or doing anything great. It was just more like, oh, when are you going to marry and have
This is the
kids?
next logical best step
Because
for
they didn't
you.
have anything else. And that was the only way they could stably be in a relationship and have money and have a home, was to get married to
Mm-hmm.
someone who's working and then start trying to have kids. And then if they couldn't have kids, they were starting to feel like they weren't a success. So women that were having fertility problems back then, it was very stressful for them because they were like outside of the norm. Like now people are asking you, why don't you have kids? Because that was a totally different thing then. And it'd be interesting to ask like someone of that age their perspective on that
Yeah.
same thing.
Well, I find it interesting because, like, um, a lot of my generation, I feel like, are like, no, I don't have kids yet and I'm 30. It's not a big deal. Or,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like as big of a thing to be like concerned. If I met a 30-year-old woman who doesn't have kids, I'm not like, oh my God, she's old, she's barren. I'm just like, oh, good for you. Like, but I feel like it was a lot of our like moms who were like, don't get married young, go do what you want to do, live your life. If you want to have kids, great. If you don't, we'll live. But it's interesting, like seeing the difference between, how we're my generation now is like, okay, well, I'm going to focus on me. But now you have this older generation who's like,
Yeah.
all these girls don't want to have kids or they
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be married. But like, you've
So
taught.
what do you remember of what I told you? What was my pressures? What is my
I don't
opinion
think I've ever
towards you?
felt pressure
You
towards
know what I mean?
you.
Like what did you feel like you learned from me about that
Don't
overall?
don't ever rush into things, especially marriage and having kids, unless I really thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it wasn't because I had to get out of something. And
Mm-hmm.
that was something, you did always bring up was like, don't ever get married because you're worried about not having a house or not having, financial stability. You won't have food on the table. Like, if you ever need anything, I'm there for you. A man should not have to, take care of you. You can take care of yourself. And that's not a reason you should get married. It should be because they're adding to your life and they're your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
But like, never feeling like you ever forced me to feel like I had to have kids or had to do all these things. It was go to school, focus on yourself, be happy in your career. Like,
Well, and I just think the thing that I missed out on was having that time before of like learning to stand on your own 2 feet. So you had the confidence to set boundaries with a spouse and to leave if there was abuse. And that's the thing that I feel like is detrimental for women if they go and they become stay-at-home moms and they're not financially protected, which there's a girlfriend of mine who does women's coaching. Her name's Anna Goff, and you can find her on TikTok and Instagram. And she, after her divorce, started talking about everything she learned about being a stay-at-home mom, of what she would have done differently to protect herself because her name wasn't on anything. She didn't have access to the bank accounts, and she's essentially receiving an allowance. And I'm like, that's horrifying. I don't want to
yeah.
have to go ask my husband if I can buy a new pair of shoes. And I've had a girlfriend who'd tell me she would have to save up her cash to go buy a dress that she wanted at the mall and then go cut off the tags and hide it in the closet and then pretend it was old.
That's crazy.
I mean, this is a woman who's in her almost 60 years old now. It's like you lived in this type of financial abuse, So after seeing that, one of my biggest things I realized, like, the confidence and the preparations of you being educated and you knowing you can take care of yourself also makes you be able to walk away
From abuse
from
or
abuse.
yeah, I mean, that was something like I guess I didn't really even think about it is you have set me up for success in the sense of like I will never let anyone control me financially and I want to protect myself. So, if I do decide to get married, like I want to have a prenup, not for the sense of like I know we're going to get divorced, but it's like if
You
I
just do
decide
it.
to stay home ever or we do get divorced because something happens, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm still protecting my future self from being controlled and worrying, oh, I can't leave because I don't have an income and I won't have somewhere to live. Like,
Well, and that's why a lot of women are making these videos and posting on TikTok, like, of their guy screaming in their face and doing the things because they don't know what to do and they don't know where they feel like they have nowhere to go. And there's
yeah,
so many sad instances of these young people who don't have parental guidance. They don't have parents they can go to. I saw a video yesterday
yeah.
that a woman posted where she videoed like this herself calling her dad to tell him that her husband was abusing her. And the dad didn't side with her. And he asked her all these horrible questions and made it like he minimized it. And that's not really happening. And it was awful. And to realize like that's what a lot of people are dealing with. And I had that situation where when I was in my very early 20s, that I remember calling my parents and saying, "Oh, my husband did this or did that." And it was well, what did you do? We know you can be this, you can be that. And I didn't get support and I wasn't protected. And it really angers me now to think that that's what women were going through and what they're still going through.
I mean, I feel like it's something that is really important is setting yourself up for being independent and not worrying about being reliant on someone else to take care of you,
Mm-hmm.
but also having your support system that like you can trust. So
Mm-hmm.
like whether that is or isn't your parents or you have a good friend that you call them and you're like this is happening and they're not going to go, oh well, they're going to go, okay, I'm on my way, I'm getting you out. Like I think it is good to have those friends who are going or family that are going to
And
be there for the safety
there
net.
is things in place, and it's really really scary. I think for a woman to abandon her home and run away, but it's still like I see women just the second a guy goes to work, they go throw their kids in the car with nothing,
Yeah.
and they think I may never see any of my things ever again, but this is the only way I feel I can get out without this retribution of being attacked. And these men that we do hear about them, like murdering their wives, or beating them to a pulp. And it's really important to me that women realize like you need to have the confidence that you can set the boundary and you can walk away if there is that kind of abuse. And there is, I think we need to work as a society to ensure that all of the things that you can do to get out is more readily available to everyone, that they can find it, they know where it is. There's signs everywhere. Like, I don't care if we have to stick them on the inside of every female bathroom and of every big box store in the United States. It's just they need to know, who do I call, what do I do first? And there's got to be a line and there's got to be help, like within your state or your county, that can help you leave, because sometimes we do. I thought I was a relatively worldly, well read. I was a really good student. I was a smart woman, but I didn't know how to get out. And I felt trapped there forever. And part of it was that I never had a strong support system of people that would advise me to leave and advise me to get out.
Or I guess like protect yourself from the beginning. Like that is something, going back to everything is learning how to be okay on your own
Mm-hmm.
is something that I feel like you always like pushed was, when I was 19, I was ready. I was like, all right, I'm ready. I can live on my own. You've given me all the tools to feel confident that I can keep myself alive and I'm going to move out in my own apartment. Right. And,
Yes.
I know some girls who never moved out, and, then they're getting
They've
married
never
and
lived
they're
on their own.
instantly moving into
Mhm.
their fiance or husband's house, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know how to like go and get on a lease for an apartment now that we're breaking up." Or and then they don't have
Yeah.
any support from anywhere
Or they can get
else.
kicked out when they're not on the lease. Like, there's just a lot
Yeah,
of
that's it.
things, like, if you don't teach awareness of what you can do to protect yourself, in these scenarios of and dating long enough to know someone and not being codependent. I know a lot of young people that are financially in poverty, and so they move in with someone right away to save money. But and I get it. It's
It is
good.
hard nowadays.
Or they get pregnant. Oh my gosh. And God, they couldn't even afford to feed themselves, much less buy some diapers. It's like there's a lot of scenarios that are preventable. We don't always make those choices to prevent them. But it's education, it's parenting, and that's something that a lot of people are lacking, and they don't have that. And so, how can we better do that in the future? By providing that for young women that didn't get it at home.
I don't know. I guess talking about the that there is no timeline for life, um,
Mm-mm.
but how to kind of like combat that when you do feel like you might be running out of time, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote. I'm 25, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
married, I'm not gonna start having kids right now. Like, oh gosh. But yet there are other people doing it
Mm-hmm.
way later, and it's fine. Like, we're living longer. We're we're
Yeah.
also evolving to a point where,
And the thing is if you've already put yourself in these positions and you feel like you made a mistake, the thing is you can always start over. You can always change it. I lived alone for the first time in my entire life 3 years ago. So after my divorce, I got my own house, and then a little while later, my son moved out, and it's like, oh my gosh, I was scared. I was scared of noises of the night. I had never been in a house by myself,
living alone, I
living
guess,
alone.
versus like it is so different when like, someone goes out of town and you're like, oh, I'm just here, but like truly living alone and learning to
It's
fill your
weird.
time with
It's
like
weird.
other things. And
Well, I did really love and embrace that time of what I did for myself, and when I had all the free time, when I was single and I lived alone, I was lighting candles and meditating and doing yoga and doing all the things. Like, and I
take
was
care of yourself.
going to bed so early. I was like getting up at the crack of dawn, and I was just going to the gym, and it was 6 in the morning. And it was just like because I wasn't distracted by all these other things. And I was meal prepping and making really good food. Like, I took really good care of myself. And I think that's important, that you have to have that time. Like, you want to feel like you had your own place and you figured out your own needs and you got to decorate your own house and, just everything of setting your own schedule and then maintaining that when you start dating someone so they don't disrupt your taking care of yourself.
So I guess if you could go back to 19-year-old you who might have felt the external pressures of, moving out and getting married and having kids, what is like something that you feel like somebody had said to you at that time to make you feel, empowered, or
I mean, what they could have said.
what they could have, or what you wish someone had told you?
I think I really wish I hadn't been pressured by my mom of that I had to be married to live with my boyfriend or date him, like to get to know him, because the
Mm-hmm.
abuse started really early on. And then I think I always think if I could go back and talk to myself, I would have told myself to go more forward into particular educational paths that I had felt so burned out in. But I didn't realize I wasn't burned out in school. Like, I am a lifelong learner. I love taking classes. I love reading. I love learning. I hated being in parochial school. I
Yeah.
hated the lack of conversation, the lack of depth of opinions. Like, it was so stifling and uncomfortable, you know. So if I could do anything different, I wish I had told myself, just go for it. Go to a normal college, meet normal people, have good meaty conversations, and also get those degrees and things that I wish I had now, right? That things that I loved. And I was really, I wouldn't say I had an imposter syndrome, but I just didn't really realize like what I had at that age.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know what I was capable of.
I think that's a common thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not imposter syndrome, but I get it. It is imposter syndrome and feeling like, oh, am I really capable of doing those things? Oh my gosh.
I mean, I had the gift of gab, and I wish I'd become an attorney. And I was scared that, oh, I can't do that. If I went to court, I would cry. I didn't know there was like 500 different types of attorneys that you could do besides going to court and arguing with people.
Yeah.
But it's like you don't always know all the types of jobs that are available to you. Or I wish I had like actually become a pilot sooner, because I just was so interested in that. I was going up and doing stunts in little airplanes with some of my dad's friends, and it just kind of that little bug hit me really young, and
Yeah.
I liked it. But it's like, as a girl, I just didn't go into it. So the main thing for me was go for it more, take care of yourself, like figure out who you are, because you're also going to be a better partner to who you marry if you've taken a moment to like figure that out. Because it's just like on the airplane when they say put your own oxygen mask on before you help everybody else. Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine if everybody in this world could just take care of themselves?
Something, with this whole timeline thing is there is no timeline, and even some of the most successful people that you can think of do not have an average normal timeline. There is, lots of billionaires who you look at their lives and they haven't done anything in a normal way. I mean, take Bridget Mendler. She was an actor on Disney Channel, ended up going and getting multiple degrees, having kids, and now owns like one of the biggest like satellite companies. I believe it's a satellite company. Totally changed career paths multiple times, full-time mom, multiple degrees. But there are so many other successful people like that who did not have a normal timeline and changed over and over. So I think it's stop stressing about what you're doing right now in this moment and realize
Mm-hmm.
the world's your oyster. You can do anything. There is no normal timeline.
Yeah, no, I can provide lots of examples of grown-ups that I know that did all sorts of stuff. Like, I have a girlfriend who's a cardiologist. She's amazing. I won't say where. But
She's
so
awesome.
she took years to decide to go to medical school and then do this and do that. And then she was living in another country for a while and got married and divorced him and came back and, had all of her stuff. And now she's here remarried, and
She's a cardiologist.
she's on call and saves people all day long. So, I mean, it's just you do different things in different paths. Like, she would say, oh God, this was a hard path, but
Yeah.
and she was one of those star students who did everything right, right? But she just took her time figuring it out, and I think it's good that she did that. But I think I know many adults who they have an interesting path to success. That may have taken 10 years, and may have taken 20.
Yeah.
Experience is important, and a lot of people can't be successful without the experience. The things that happen to you just shape you and build you. I think I'm even a good testament to that. That just what I have gone through has become something else. And I did not have an affectionate mother. I didn't have a close relationship with my mother. Like, so I think I was always trying to be pretty, get perfect grades, be good at everything, like just so that take care of my brothers, because I wanted to feel like she loved and cared for me. But it was like no matter what I did, it's just like I didn't fit into the box of what she wanted me to be. I had a hard time going against what they were saying I had to do, even though I disagreed with it. as in like trying to be a people pleaser and trying to be perfect and trying to feel like I was loved and accepted. And that was because I was lacking so much in the connection, like because she wasn't capable of it. But I always thought it was my fault, like, or that I didn't have that with her. She was someone who had to do everything in the box, and I think she probably to this day lives fearful of burning in hell for doing something wrong, right. Which had that sort of religious abuse when she was a kid that led her to be that way. I think I just didn't know enough about relationships and dating. I just was so naive and ill prepared. And I didn't have kids for 5 years. Like I really wanted to feel like I was more established and I was ready. So we definitely had our first house, it was fully furnished, like, we were making good money, and before I did choose to get pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, I never felt like I've ever had pressure from you for anything in that sense. Like, obviously, you're being my like cheerleader of like, okay, you've got to finish school. Like, come on, just that's the next step. You got it. But like, not in like a you have to do it. It's like you're almost there. You're
wrap it up.
Me. But like, especially with like dating, marriage, life in that aspect, I don't think like I've ever felt pressure. More of like you've said things of like, oh yeah, I think it'd be cool like one day to be a grandma because I'm gonna be an awesome grandma, or like things like that. But it wasn't like you should think about having kids. It's more of like I'm just excited for the idea. Whatever you've always made.
Well, I mean, honestly, I feel like what's the point of that?
Oh yeah, I mean,
exactly is the point of that? Why? Why do you need the pressure? Life's hard enough.
I know, and I yeah, definitely the social media I think is really ruining it.
Oh my gosh, it's making it so weird. It's definitely different now. I love that we have more access to information
and connection
and news.
Yeah.
But there's so many people giving such bad information.
Yeah.
And there's so many young people posting the fakest things that I got the wedding thing online. Girls are obsessed with getting married and having their parents go into $100,000 worth of debt paying for this dumb 3-hour party.
So, you know what's funny is I was just talking about this the other night with my boyfriend. Was so many people we think get married and have kids for the status of being married and the status of being a parent versus actually getting married to be a good, to be a good partner. Because I want to be a good wife or I want to be a good husband. I don't want to have kids because I want to be a parent. I want to have kids because I want to be a good parent, but also be a good supportive partner while having kids. Like, I think so many people do it for the status of like, oh yeah, I'm married, or oh yeah, I have kids. So it ups you in some weird social status thing.
If you start to get older, you've been married and you've been divorced, like you can look at it like it's a contract, but it's a contract with very little perks. So
it's a piece of paper.
There's no reason why a man can't cheat on you or leave you, even though you're married, even though you have to go through a horrible divorce process, right? So in reality, what is it that you gain from being legally married? And so you become someone's heir without a will. You can go on their health insurance.
I think that there's like very little benefits, but I mean, that's a whole other topic of a rabbit hole we can go on.
This is what I'm saying though. Like, so in your mind, at your age,
yeah,
what is the benefit? So they say because you got that guy to do the wedding, and you have the paper and you have a ring, and you're just you're more grown up.
I am more. That's what I think it is. It's the status.
Is it a rite of passage to get married?
I mean, I think it is because of the way society has shaped it to be. Because no longer am I now, a man's property, right? And I'm putting my dad's getting rid of my bull crap and having to deal with me, and he's gonna pay this dowry. It's literally, it has nothing to do with that. It's now a status symbol of I am a rite of passage. I obviously am more of an adult now, and that's what I'm just saying. It is based off of how it feels. I'm not saying it is any of that whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean,
But
so there's a whole group of humans in the world, and maybe let's just say in our country, that think it's like the religiously correct thing to do.
first ever as humans starting agriculture because people wanted a way to pass their land on to know that it was their children that they have. So they started this whole marriage thing.
Well, I realize, like, I mean, historically, there's certain parts that made sense.
Even like statistically, men who are married and have children are more likely to make more money and also like get a better job or
a promotion. You look more competent,
yeah,
I think, to other adults
yeah.
when you're just a single guy and you haven't figured it out yet. People are like, okay, we're not sure about him, but when he has wife and kids, a nice house, okay, you know, he's managing something already. He's managing his time, his property, his
or he needs more money to take care of all of them. Like, but women don't get the same perks actually when they are married and have children in workforces, except for maybe the respect of like, okay, like she's more of an adult. But I don't think, but women aren't getting more promotions because they're married or have kids. If anything, they're like, oh, we won't give this project to her because she has kids. And so that's not going to be her top priority.
Well, or you've been to job interviews where they've asked you, do you think you're going to get married and get pregnant any next year?
That was so strange.
Not legal.
That was one
not legal
time
to ask.
when somebody did ask me that. That was so strange.
It wasn't that long ago. Yeah, that lady. It was a woman.
I kind of understood it from the stance of like it was a research job, and so they can't have you like leaving if you're in the middle of research. But I think that's something that you could have asked in a different stance of like, hey, there is a requirement for amount of time that I need you on this project. Yeah. And I think hiring you, if you can't do that, right, that is for you to decide, but not a direct.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see how watching the men in like my boyfriend's industry, like how they might respect each other more if they have a long-term relationship or wife, and just looking at their big picture and their situation for just how men view each other. A little segue here. I asked Annalie, what is the benefit in young people's eyes to getting married? Is this a trick?
Get a prenup.
It's big picture. You got to look at what's best for you. What is it going to give you? Like, I just don't understand. I think the dream is starting to die. Like, there's some girls that are just still so obsessed over their wedding, like having the wedding. Like, they want that party. They want to be the center of attention. They want the pretty dress. But they're not really focusing on the marriage other than it's the next thing to do. And they want to have kids and they want to have a family. Like, so many people, of course, love their families, their family environment, and they want the same thing. But
well, that's what it really boils down to. What I think is it's a status symbol, and it's no longer a just religious thing from that standpoint. If we take that out, and it is a status. If I'm working and if I just say like, oh, I'm married, just because I know people will respect me more. In like my everyday with the job that I do, if I'm like, oh, I'm married, I feel like people have more respect and they're like, oh, she's not a baby anymore.
Do you think it's just a sign of maturity if they think you got married?
Probably.
I just think it's interesting too. In other cultures, it's like a really big thing to the parental generation that their kids get married. And they want to throw these massive parties
but yet again, I think it is those parties are all just
a status symbol.
Well, and I'm not like knocking weddings. Of course, like I want to get married, more of just like the fun party part too. But like I also can see that there are benefits and non-benefits to the whole situation. I mean, what girl doesn't want to one day when you don't normally feel like the center of attention? Yeah, it's kind of nice. But I do think a lot of people go over the fact of like this wedding for the actual part of what a wedding is it's a combining of families and also saying like, hey, this is my people now.
together we are a team. But I think people forget that part, and it just goes into this weird, like, whole other, like,
Well,
I'm
I was
center of
waiting to see if
attention.
that came up for you, like, so for how kids look at it, but that's what I would think historically. It's supposed to be this moment of bringing your families together, but I didn't get the gift of my husband and my families hanging out together, doing things together, which I wanted. I wanted to have occasionally combined party, combined holiday. Like, gosh, make it easier for us. I have a big house. Let me just host everyone for a meal. You can all bring stuff and still help and have all your traditions.
I mean, that's one thing that I also think is like people forget the combining of obviously not everybody has like families that are willing to do that or they
Yeah.
want that. At the end of the day, like it's the husband and wife who are getting married who are now they're saying like this is our family. We are going to start our own traditions, whether that's with or without, extended family.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like other people forget that and don't want to respect it, and that's a whole other topic. Mother-in-laws or father-in-laws or other people who are overstepping boundaries and not realizing their kids also are like growing up in their own people.
Yeah, I think the internet really is highlighting all these terrible, bad, worst case scenarios when it comes to families getting together or not respecting each other's boundaries. But I would say that the bigger problem most people face is actually apathy of that lack of interest and lack of effort. Low effort families are
That's hard too.
It's huge when it comes to my generation. Like, we look at the people that never reach out to you, never invite you over, stop inviting you to their kids' events, or, just the family starts to break apart, or they're expecting you to always be the performative person to show up and call and invite everybody and host everybody. And if you don't, everything disappears because you're not putting any of the effort in. And that like lack of effort makes all these people feel like they don't have any family. They don't have a support system. To wrap things up, I would say number one, a degree is additional knowledge. You learn and grow, even if you don't feel like you end up using it specifically. But also, a degree isn't necessary. You can pivot your path at any time. You're the captain. Make course corrections. And lastly, know who you are and learn to take care of yourself before you tie the knot. This is abuse prevention. Thanks for listening. Have an awesome day.